Avatar, and now the second highest grossing film of all time at the box office, recently surpassed by Avengers Endgame. Avatar came out the weekend before Christmas 2009, so most of the money that it made was actually in 2010. Made
on my birthday.
On Dave's birthday. It made what, $2.9 billion? We're talking about a massive success. Yeah. I think a lot of what we know about 3D film releases and what people are willing to spend on movies.
Although when you're charging $30 for an IMAX 3D ticket, it's not that fucking hard to make $2.2 billion, is it?
Yeah,
2.9, Dave. I think it's 2.9. And but let's be real. When this film came out, or at least a year later, after the 2009 release, number 1 and number 2 on the all-time box office list, James Cameron. You got Avatar edging out Titanic. So let's be real. This movie, to be honest, this movie was really fucking fun to watch in the theater if you saw it, because the effects are awesome. And Dave's our effects expert on staff here, but that is. The effects are awesome when they're riding the fucking horse. Like, he becomes an avatar. He becomes an avatar. The whole story. Look, okay, so here's what the story's about for those of you who saw Avatar and then completely forgot, because that's exactly what happened to me. So
tell us, Jeff.
Sam Worthington, who you guys may know as that guy who almost got 10 different film franchises off the ground. Sam Worthington
should be a preemptive drink.
He should be at home. I can't believe people don't know his name at home anymore. This guy has been in some of the biggest movies of all time. He's been in all of these huge franchises, and then we just can't fucking remember his name. Avatar 2 coming out 2021. Okay, so he wakes up in a pod. It kind of opens in like a dream, and then he wakes up in a pod on a spaceship, and we learn pretty quickly through some. I don't think documentary, like some weird voiceover basically, where you don't know if he's journaling or if he's just speaking to the audience. And he basically says they've all been on the spaceship for almost 6 years. They left Earth because Earth had sucked its resources dry, etc., and they're going to this planet. He doesn't know why. You find out quickly it's because his brother, who was a PhD scientist who had been training for this program, died the week before leaving. And they have the same DNA because they're identical twins. And we don't even know right away that the DNA is important because the avatar was actually made for his brother. So more or less, he's going to be uploaded into his brother's avatar, and they are going to mingle with this species that live in the woods. This is basically Pocahontas / Fern Gully. It's funny watching with South African themes that we have going on too, but for the most part, it's think Pocahontas, and he comes in as the avatar to just save the people. But what's really going on is, and we can talk about this in a little bit, the American corporation, whatever the fucking corporation was called, has bought out they've paid for this entire excursion, and they hired all these ex-military people to get this is the worst. This is, okay, I'm going to be a stan for this film, but this is the worst part of the movie. The name of the element that lives under the fucking soil is called the unobtainium. Can you buzz James Cameron for that?
I'm just gonna stop you on that one, because as it turns out, that's an actual term used in the military for something that needed to make something work that they don't have yet.
They could have come up with a better name, but I'm glad fine. They're paying homage to the real American.
That was also a sticking point for me back in the day, but it turns out that has a legitimate purpose.
Right. So anyway, we can talk
something
about
this week.
Unobtainium. We could talk about what is more valuable: unobtainium, vibranium, oil, diamonds. It's all the same shit. Who wants to get started with Avatar? I want to wait on John. Dave, why don't you go first?
All right. So just to set the scene, I did see this when it came out on my birthday.
Yeah.
I saw it in IMAX 3D because why wouldn't you? Like, they were touting the 3D.
You had to.
I'm not even kidding. This was some of the best use of 3D I've ever seen in a film property to date. He really mastered what he was doing with it. The technology to make this film didn't even exist when they first pitched it. They had to wait years for it to catch up. He had to invent a whole heap of shit. And I have been in the time since a complete dick to this movie, going, I saw it in 3D, it uses that as a gimmick, it doesn't... And I'm sorry, I sat down and I watched this, and I was stuck to the damn screen. I watched the whole thing from start to finish. I loved it.
Dave,
it does not need the 3D at all. This is
Dave,
a great film.
I am with you. I'm with you. John has given the ugliest golf claps I've ever seen. I'm with you because I know that some of the script is shitty. Here's what I'm going to say. I watched this on Disney Plus. So you know what? It's a little cheesy and the script is a little shitty. Sigourney Weaver, man, they fucking blew that intro. She like sits up and like she's like, "Oh, I'm a smoking doctor. I don't need you. I need your brother who's smart." And I was like, man, this is Sigourney Weaver, aka Alien. Like the whole genre is like basically on Ripley's back, and they hire her and they give her a shitty intro and a terrible scene where Giovanni Ribisi is the villain in this, who's perfectly fine.
Twirling his mustache the entire time.
Yeah. A little snidely whiplash going on, but he explains to her the whole plot of the movie, and you as the audience are like, she should know this already, and you're like, oh, it's just a bad script. So yes, Dave and John, the script is not great. We know that. But you know what? Look,
I even didn't mind the script this time around. Like I was distracted by the 3D the first time I watched it. This time I settled into the story, and it's solid. Like it's a familiar story, yes, but I mean to say it's a ripoff of Pocahontas is unfair because there's so many stories that have gone down this line.
I'm not saying a ripoff, but it is.
No, but everybody did. Like those memes came out where they just replaced us. But some people even made fan trailers where they put like the dialogue from Avatar in Pocahontas and vice versa. And it's like, okay, fair, but also not fair. Like this story's been told and retold forever.
Yeah.
And I think the other reason I'm giving this so much slack is because from a production design standpoint, this thing is fucking amazing. Like the environment design that went into all of this is absolutely phenomenal, and knowing how long that would have taken, I mean, just for Neytiri, for Zoe Saldana's facial dialogue and movement that they captured in camera. They didn't have the technology that auto-tracked it at that point. So they had to sit there and manually animate to match the tracking dots on her face. And it took a year to put her in the computer.
I mean, it's great.
So
and
it's like,
I talked to... go ahead.
I respect that, and I feel like I'm going to give it a little bit over the line for that because I really enjoyed it. It started to get a little slow during the battle at the end. I'm like, all right, come on, get to the point.
The battle was a little long. Good symmetry, good callbacks.
I really enjoyed this film.
Yeah, and I mean, back to what I was saying about District 9, Invictus didn't quite take the note for me, but for District 9 too, 15 minutes and he's in the Avatar. So look, maybe they spoon-fed you a lot of the exposition, but this is a 2.5 hour movie, and he wakes up in a pod, he's on a spaceship, he lands, he's former Marine, his brother was a PhD, yada, yada, yada. But who the fuck cares? We came to see Avatar, and he's in the Avatar in 15 minutes. All of a sudden, we're off and running. A mini-series would have spent at least a full episode on that, a full 60 minutes. This movie covered all that ground in 15 minutes. God, fucking, let's go. We're fucking rolling. And again, the battle's too long.
To its credit, it holds your interest. Like, because this movie is as long, pretty much, as the line is for the ride at Disney. So like it's it's an enormous long movie. There's a lot of stuff in there. But yeah, I really enjoyed it on a second watch.
I thought it was fun. Think about it like a Disney movie. John, go fuck yourself. I hate everything about you and who you are.
This might be the one time where I tell you to fuck yourself. We'll see.
All right, so I'm glad you used that analogy because the entire time I was watching this, I felt like I was standing in a line at Disney. I felt like that was exactly what I was thinking about. All right, first I'm not gonna shit on it. I'm not gonna shit on this. I agree with you guys. I was less disappointed than I thought I was gonna be because I have seen this.
Good for you, you brave soul.
Shut the fuck up. I have seen this twice since it came out, and just like every other James Cameron movie, kind of like Steven Spielberg and those other ginormous directors, I really do believe this is James Cameron's truth. So I don't discredit him. I see the passion. I see what he's trying to do. And I credit that. And I appreciate that. It's just a shame that he's not a better writer. And I mean that literally. Don't even buzz me for that, because I mean that literally.
Wait. Don't buzz me for that. That's a positive film criticism. You just fucking shat on James Cameron's writing.
That's the
rules. But that's the reason we have a fucking buzzer.
His filmmaking
you just
techniques
proved why we have a buzzer.
Shut the fuck up. His filmmaking techniques are great. And there were several times when I was sitting there watching stuff that didn't drive the story forward. There were just these big sequences that were fun in 3D they were still okay on the television. If you have a pretty good television, a pretty good surround sound, or whatever your situation is, it didn't stop the movie. It just, what bothered me more is that man. I feel conflicted saying this because I really do think he sees storytelling this way. So I still recognize that is what he was trying to do, but he writes with a very broad brush. He writes in cliches. His bad guys are bad guys. His good guys are good guys. And I'm gonna call you out. It's not Pocahontas. It's fucking Fern Gully. Anyone who's seen Fern Gully.
I said Fern
Gully.
They're
the same.
I said at the beginning. I said Pocahontas or Fern Gully, and it's basically the same shit.
It is literally Fern Gully. It's just they have a few details that are changed. It's still James Cameron. The man knows how to make entertainment. I was still entertained, and I was still moved in some of the emotional parts. It was just, I just kept thinking the whole time, it's a shame that someone who has this kind of platform, this kind of vehicle, that is going to get every person on planet Earth into the fucking theater to watch a movie, which is very hard to do nowadays. It's almost impossible. Yeah. And he got so many people in. It's a shame he doesn't hire someone who's better at writing than he is. He's just not a... Come on, dude. Come on. Give me a fucking break. You really think he's a great writer? You think he's good at writing?
No, but here's the thing.
Whether I agree or not, the buzzer has spoken.
Here's the real question. First of all, I don't know why I'm so compelled to say again that I mentioned Fern Gully. I don't know why I want that on record. I really want it. Second of all, here's the real question about this. Can you really cover that much ground in 2.5 hours, knowing that an hour is going to be a battle sequence, and write a conversation? That's my real question for you, because the conversations he should have had with Zoe Saldana.
Are you literally?
Listen to me. No. Listen to me. Listen to me. The conversation, because what you're saying is it should have been a miniseries. That's what I'm hearing. Because the conversations to fall in love with Zoe Saldana, the princess of this tribe, who is betrothed basically to a different person, and he has to become an avatar and infiltrate this camp and fall in love with her, who's her teacher, while he learns the ways and he learns the language. I mean, how can you possibly do that in an hour, which is what they did?
You have already seen this movie. You have already seen this movie. There was not a single moment in this movie that challenged any audience member in the movie at all. And I'm just saying, if you're as genius as James Cameron is...
This is an entertaining film.
Hold on. If you're as genius as James Cameron is, and you have the ability to make a movie that is going to be compelling enough to get people to see it, do you literally have to write every single predictable cliche you can into a script? There is not a single moment of this script that challenged the audience member. And I would argue that the only problem with James Cameron's storytelling is that he doesn't challenge people enough. He has the ability to. That guy is a good filmmaker. He knows how to manipulate cinema to make you compelled and to pull you in. And I don't understand. He is convinced that he is a good enough writer. And he's not a bad writer. I don't want to pick on him. He's not a terrible writer. There have been worse writers. But for someone who is that genius at certain aspects of storytelling, he is not a very good writer. And there are script writers who could have taken this exact material and turned it into something that would have taken it from a 6 or a 7, maybe lower, if depending on how intense you are about your criticism of the script. He could have taken it up to something like a 7 or an 8, where he could have had a few moments in there, at least a few moments that would have challenged you. Otherwise, it was just a theme park ride. It was exactly what you were expecting, with the same elements that they teach in every fucking screenwriting playbook. And it was exactly what you thought it was going to be. Is that still entertaining? Yes, it's still entertaining. You're still going to enjoy it. I'm just saying that someone with that kind of credentials... Someone with that kind of credentials should be challenging us more. And I'm going to give Steven Spielberg some credit. He challenges you a little bit more than James Cameron does, I think.
True.
Someone who's in the same world with him.
You're right. This movie could have challenged people a little bit more. But this is where it landed. And you know what? All things considered, there's a percentage that he hires a screenwriter who overwrites it, and then it just becomes plotty and you don't care about the world. The world is still fun, even though the stakes aren't as high in this. So,
but that's
you're
what
right.
I'm saying.
It's not a 10 out of 10.
James Cameron is going to take care of the world. He's a good enough filmmaker. That guy is fucking good at what he does with world building.
But I don't think he didn't make any mistakes. So yes, he played it safe for sure. But that doesn't make it a 3 out of 10.
I'm starting to suspect
Buzz. He didn't make any mistakes.
For
Are you fucking kidding me? He didn't make any mistakes in that script. Are you serious?
No, we don't buzz people for saying something you disagree with.
He didn't make any mistakes in that script. Are you serious?
John's being possessed by Scorsese, apparently.
I've already said the lines weren't good, but as far as the plot is concerned, he played it by the book. In fact, you were somebody who was a big proponent of playing it by the book when we talked about our franchise series. So he played it by the book, and then the script, the actual like dialogue writing. Which is
I said play it by the book when the book is Lord of the Rings. That is not this book.
Anyway, I'm just saying it was still an entertaining flick, albeit safe. But it's not like he made any. It's not like he made any moves in the script that derailed the entire structure or anything. It was a very unornate tree that was a really fun ride to be on. I thought it wasn't a 10 out of 10, but I think it settled somewhere around a 7 out of 10, and I think that was pretty fun for me. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, I get it. I get that John likes something deeper from his entertainment.
That's what she said. But he loves Star Trek, and Star Trek missed. Star Trek is the best example because 2 out of the 12 films are just straight up bad. But for the sake of the fact that the other 12 films are great, it's worth the risk. But Avatar in this case was fail-proof.
I don't want to just sound like a contrarian. I just want to make sure you guys are appreciating what I'm saying. For someone who has that kind of power in the film industry, I want to go see one of the best movies ever made with one of the biggest budgets ever done, with one of the newest technology ever seen. I want to see someone match that with the writing, and I don't think he did that.
John's upset this wasn't the best movie ever made. John's upset this was not The Godfather, but for 3D.
No, I think he feels it's unfair that it was the highest grossing film for such a lot of time with some of what he interprets as lazy writing.
That doesn't make it a bad movie, but you're right. It's just not as good as it could have been.
I'm not saying it's a bad movie.
It could have been better. That doesn't mean it was bad. That's my thing. But the whole Avatar thing for me is everybody thinks this movie's bad. It's not bad. It just could have been better. And because it can obviously have been better doesn't
that does say something interesting,
a less
though, right?
experience.
That does say something interesting, though, right? That it's one of the highest grossing movies of all time, and it could have been better. And almost everyone who's seen it could admit that it could have been better. Why could it have been better? Do you think it's because of the story? Do you agree with me? Why could it have been better?
I have a feeling James Cameron knows that, which is what he told the studio that granted 4 more. Or 3 more.
I know it could have been shorter.
I mean, there are a lot of ways that it could have been better, yeah, but that doesn't mean that what was on the screen was bad. How many times I've been on a roller coaster was like, yeah, that could have been better, but, it's pretty fun. And, and sometimes movies are like roller coasters, and if there is an example of that, it is fucking Avatar. Avatar is not the greatest roller coaster ever made, but it is one where most people who go on and had a good time.
And it's not bad. I don't want it to sound like I thought it was bad.
It does sound like it. It does sound exactly like that.
Well, my 2 fucking co-hosts decided to fucking deep throat this movie, so I couldn't help but stick my face in here a little bit.
Deep throated this movie. We said it was better than we thought it was going to be.
You guys love this movie. You guys love this movie. James Horner's score.
I really enjoyed it.
James Horner's score ripped off The Lion King. It ripped off Adiamos by Enya.
The fourth interval, it was almost My Heart Will Go On every single time. Every time he introduced.
No, there were so many times that I thought it was going to be the Lion King one at the end where he becomes the king again and the 2 lions go back and forth. I felt like I heard that. Actually, no, that was Invictus too. I heard that in both of them, actually. There's a lot of Lion King.
So what do you? Let me ask you guys a question. What the fuck do you think the next 4 movies are going to be about? Why is he making more avatars? Can anyone tell me that answer? Other than it made him money. Why the fuck is he making more of these?
I hope the answer to that is we'll never guess.
It's possible that in the world he created, he's realized that he's got more story to tell.
Yeah, but I don't know about 3 more stories. I think there have to be multiple planets. I can't imagine it all being on the same planet.
I know there's a massive underwater sequence.
That sounds awesome. That sounds really great. Well, because they're connected to all life things. So in a way he's got there are a lot of options he has going forward. Also, it made a ton of money, so obviously he was going to get at least 1 or 2 more out of it. The fact that he has 3 means that he has a longer story he wants to tell. And look, maybe he's going to take your note, John, and maybe he'll self-correct. If not, that's going to be really shitty. But it's possible. It's possible.
I don't think he took that note after True Lies, and then he wrote Titanic, and then he wrote Avatar. But I appreciate the possibility.
But he loves being underwater, so that underwater stuff is going to be really interesting, I bet.
Oh yeah. There's photos online. Have a
He's
look.
one of like the 7 people to be the bottom of the Mariana Trench.
Mhm.
Again, I don't want to discredit that man. I really do think this is what he's going for. I just wish he had the humility to recognize
No.
I am genius at everything except for writing a screenplay. I am good with
What's your-
story. He's good with
Right.
story. The big plot points I had no problem with. It's just the lines were the most cliche lines you've ever heard. Give me a break. Come on, you guys. You knew
No, I
exactly
said
what was
that.
about to come
I
out
already
of their
said that.
mouths.
I already said that. Just remind me really quick. What's your favorite James Cameron movie since Avatar in 2009? What's your favorite James Cameron movie?
Has he made one?
Yeah, I think he might have read Twitter. I think he learned his lesson. I have a feeling he has something up his sleeve. And again, it could be possible that he's failed, but he has set us up with a world in which there is success as a possibility. And
Jeff,
you know what?
clearly
Let's
you
see what
haven't
happens.
seen the Rolex commercials with him and Martin Scorsese. What's that
No,
fucking
you can't judge
pretentious
people on those sellout
Act
commercials.
Academy? You know what I'm talking about though? When he's like standing in the world of Avatar. It's like, come on. I don't know. I have issues, you guys. I want to celebrate it because I'm so happy that there is a movie out there that got everyone in the theater. That is so
just-
cool. There's an
Just for the
event
record
movie.
now, we've established John does not like blue people.
Blue people.
Also, those blue people are tall
Blue
and they're
man
hot,
groupies
man.
coming for you.
How convenient is it that they can all
No, I'm
connect to each other
defending
with
them.
those?
The Na'vi. I'm defending the Na'vi, dude. They
Wait.
deserved more, dude. He wrote the most cliche lines for the Na'vi. Come on.
How lucky are they that their like appendage vaginas never got cut off? Like it's weird that they all connected to each other, but it was like a skin tag basically. Like I can't believe
why are
they
you
survived it
focusing
well.
on this?
Where
What
was
is
his
wrong with
dick,
you?
by the way? Where was they
No,
were walking
no,
around in
no,
those
no, no,
tiny
no,
little
no, no.
loincloths?
We
Hold
can't
on a
get into
second.
this.
This
Can't
is
get into this.
ridiculous.
Guys,
Yeah,
when
the hair was the junk.
when Sam Worthington gives the speech at the end at the tree of the white tree, whatever that was called, the dead tree or whatever, I really hoped he ended his speech. Today we celebrate our Independence Day.
Independence
I was like really hoping he was gonna end this.
I just want to bring it back as well. Someone on the internet at some point in the years did make a very valid point that like the hair is the junk. So like they use that to.
Oh yeah, it's just
But they
weird that
also
like
use
the
that on their
birds,
animals.
humans, they all have
Yeah.
the hair thing. It's just it's really interesting. They
A whole
basically
bunch of
plug in.
bestiality.
It's basically like electronics. Yeah, there's bestiality. Guys, the tree falling was really cool. With the way they built the tree and the way
I
the
didn't
tree
see that
fell
on the
was really
warning
cool.
at Disney.
The tree
battle's
falling
too
was
long.
really cool. It was terrifying. I mean, it was. Look, James Cameron's heart is in the right place. I get that.
John,
I get
yeah,
that.
keep
That
climbing
guy-
back up this ladder, John. It's fine. It's
No,
okay.
come on.
We know. No, we know where you're coming from. We know where you're coming
Essentially,
from.
I would
You
say
would-
give it a watch now before Disney Plus blurs out the hair junk.
Disney Plus, yeah, like, it's on Disney Plus for free. You might as well. It's long, but it's fine. It's totally fine. And you know what? I'd fuck Taruk too. What are the movies that we're gonna do next week, or what?
So when y'all watched this movie, you were totally fine. You were like, "This is totally fine with me. I'm totally fine."
Honestly, I'll be honest with you. My expectations were a little lowered.
Mine too. Mine
Dave?
too. It surprised me how much I enjoyed it.
But Dave, did you lowered your expectations and then you rewatched this and it succeeded
My
your lowered?
expectations were through the floor when I came into this. I was like, because I
Same.
jumped on the bandwagon.
So you're
of-
saying the secret to enjoying this movie is to have super low expectations. Just to
It does
clarify,
help.
that's all.
It helps.
That's
It
all.
helps.
pretty
What?
much the secret to enjoying anything, isn't it?
I
All
think
right,
it's
that's the
to
secret
enjoying
sauce
anything.
of Avatar. If you go in thinking
The
this
secret
movie's
sauce
going
to
to suck,
anything.
you're going to be blown away, dude.
guys, things suck out there, and it's like, but here's the thing, it could be worse. That's basically what we're saying about
I will-
Avatar.
that's
no, it-
I totally
Look.
agree. I was pleasantly surprised at how much I didn't
yeah,
hate it.
it's a fine.
It's worth watching.
fine.
Everybody watch it. You're gonna watch. Everybody fucking watches a James Cameron movie every now and then. Everybody watches Titanic every now and then. Everybody
No, they
watches
don't.
Avatar. Yes, they do. Yes,
still
they
They still
do.
do.
They definitely
Because
still do. This is-
everybody wants to be painted like one of their French girls, male, female, or otherwise. You want to be painted like one of the French girls.
wearing this.
Also,
this is
also,
another one. It's a James
Also,
Cameron movie.
that's a cheesy movie, but why did she throw the diamond in the water?
Shut up,
Give it-
Jeff.
Does she
Shut
not
up,
have
Jeff.
any
Don't
family?
shut the fuck up. Don't just shut the fuck. Why'd she let him go?
Yeah. That's a whole other podcast. Like they could have fit on that door.
No,
I'm
we
gonna-
haven't. Yeah.
Avatar it's still fun. I did not not enjoy watching it. It's a James Cameron movie. You're gonna have issues with
on
the
Disney
script.
Plus
You're
right
gonna
now.
be entertained
Did
as a
not-
motherfucker. It's
You
super
won't
compelling
not enjoy
filmmaking.
it.